Good morning. I'm Dr. Deborah Wheeler. I am the program officer for the Montana TCU Transfer Pathways program. This program has developed with a specific goal in mind to develop efficiencies and efficacy, transparency across transfer systems in the Montana TCUs, particularly to support early childhood education and social work pathways. Next slide. Our program has several success measures to accomplish those goals. We are focused on 5 main areas. We've accomplished the first 3 so far in our very short-term program. This is a 2.5-year grant from the ECMC Foundation, and we've had great success already in the program, accomplishing many of these success measures. We still have a little more work to do in numbers 4 and 5. That will be the focus of our efforts here in 2023. Next slide. The history of this program, the funding was obtained in 2020. I was hired at the end of 2021 as the program officer and started doing some program planning, both with my past experience in articulation agreements and in funding, and also working with the TCUs in Montana. The Montana TCUs were selected because that is the largest number of TCUs in a single state, so focusing efforts there in this initial effort. And then we launched in 2022 with a convening. That was where the TCUs came together and selected early childhood education and social work as the 2 focus pathways for transfer students. That was a unique experience, as most of the TCUs in Montana had not communicated in that way together to work together for articulation agreements. There had been some one-offs or prior agreements, but this was really unique to figure out how to develop articulation agreements and transfer pathways within the TCUs to allow students to remain within TCUs to complete their degrees. So we had great success in developing 14 articulation agreements last year. Those 14 articulation agreements, most of them were 2+2 agreements, meaning transfers from associates to bachelor's degrees. Those, again, were at the bachelor's level for early childhood and social work at Stone Child College and Salish Community College. And those agreements allowed the TCUs, again, to communicate in unique ways that had not occurred before. Those agreements also included a system-wide agreement in which they all agreed to accept each other's language courses, so they could take their cultural language courses and then transfer those easily elsewhere within the TCU system. So we now have some stackable credentials in early childhood and social work that would allow a student to complete a degree from credential, 1-year credential, all the way through to master's degree, all within the TCUs. In 2023, our work continues. Now we have some specific goals to market and promote those 14 articulation agreements and stackable credentials. My focus areas will be to promote those, measure our program successes, and support TCUs. So our focus areas are well established for us moving into the rest of this year. Next slide. And here are some details about those action steps, our objectives and goals for the remainder of this year. We need to widely promote and market the new articulation agreements. We need to make sure all stakeholders are aware of these. That means internally here at the College Fund, but also internal and external stakeholders. Students need to be aware of them, faculty, staff, administrators, leaders, community, all need to know that these pathways are now available. And we have a new marketing and media toolkit to assist with that. The TCUs can use that to promote to their students, to their faculty and staff internally, and the conversations will continue across the system for other potential articulation agreements going forward. The other challenge, of course, is to then measure the good work that's been done. We need to collect data on those transfer pathways to measure, evaluate, and learn from those. And we're using a consultant for that to help set up the systems. We have a challenge in Montana where they are on different student information systems. They're on different quarters and semesters, and we've overcome all of those challenges to now set up a potential system for the future. So measurement will continue. And then to support those transfer pathways, communications ongoing with the TCUs, and also collaborating with many of you here in this room. I've talked to lots of you about how to access the stakeholders that are most relevant, talking to access students and faculty, staff, outreach in those areas. So that collaboration continues. I'm working very closely with Nicolette in Student Success. We're co-leading efforts in the Transfer Advisory Committee, which is a new group, and also in transfer surveys. So many, many collaborative efforts happening, and thanks to all who've been talking transfer. I recently completed an extensive literature review, and the conclusion of that was we do need to talk transfer more often in more spaces to help those students complete. So that's it for me. Thank you all.